I remember watching the digital.
Okay, so I'm watching a video by Altcoin Daily, and my wife was asking me, why do I keep watching videos about SBF and FTX? And I realized the response I gave her is worth recording because I think it's interesting in the greatest possible sense. I found myself saying that SBF and FTX, the failure of FTX, the fraud of SBF, etc., is the single greatest story of crime in my lifetime in the United States. I cited Nixon and Watergate as potentially the largest crime, that is to say the highest profile concerning the largest amounts of money or influence or power in this country in the last, generation. Everybody remembers Nixon and Watergate before my time. This with FTX going from 0 to 32 billion in 24 months back to 0 as a function of clearly underhanded, scummy, criminal movements, or unregulated crypto derivative exchange centered in the Bahamas, the second largest Democratic political lobbyist, the third largest reportedly to the Republican the Republican National Committee. I think that's how the PACs or the super PACs get their money into government, through the major party apparatuses. Anyway, this person created a business who is on record on YouTube describing a clear Ponzi scheme, how people put money into the box doesn't do anything, and it keeps appreciating, and then it becomes more attractive to put more money in. The guy was a crook from the jump, but because he was plugged in, because his parents are Stanford professors, because they're both lawyers, because he went to the right schools, because he gave money to the right people, right? He's not only not in jail right now, after clearly perpetrating an unbelievably overt, transparent, criminal financial act. He's actually on a apology tour, on a press tour, funded by his friends in high places. And so I found myself making the clear point that is, I'm so interested in this story because the way that our culture, that our institutions, that our political and media and judicial process responds to this situation is, I think, the clearest tell for the health of our geopolitical, social, institutional, moral, financial, etc. standing in the world and in time right now. Whether or not we can carry out justice correctly with respect to FTX and SBF, I think tells how far gone we are as a country. And my wife is from Brazil, and she made an interesting point and says, oh, well, you say this is the biggest crime that you've seen in your lifetime. You should watch Brazilian TV. And I said, well, exactly that point. U.S. occupies a very privileged and specific place in the world, on the world stage. We are the legacy superpower. We are politically the most relevant in the United States. The president of the United States has often been called the most powerful person in the world, powerful person, the commander-in-chief. We are the head of NATO. We are in a war right now with the East, with the former Soviet Union, Russia. This is a big deal. Are we a dispassionate, critical thinking, rule of law nation capable of prosecuting and jailing those that perpetrate the worst crimes on our people? Or are we a crooked, corrupt, crony capitalist nation like some of the worst detractors of our country might suggest? Finally, the thing that I find most interesting is, unlike everything else that you ever see in the news cycle, this is apolitical. So this is not a left or right story. This is a top versus bottom story. SBF paid the right people. He, again, gave tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions. There are receipts to the political apparatus. Again, a little bit more, by all reports, to the Democratic side, but top 5 donors to both sides. both people, I should say, both sides of the political leanings on the, proletariat are in accordance with one another, that this person needs to go to jail. But the elite don't feel that way because maybe they're indictable in the same offense. Maybe they, feel like he has dirt on them. Maybe they're just respecting the fact that he gave them so much money. They've been bribed. Who knows? But the left and the right both agree. It's the elites that don't agree that this guy needs to go to jail. And so because the media and the political apparatus are behind him, he's not only free, but he's throwing, Carolyn Ellison under the bus. He's doing this press tour. He was interviewed alongside Zelensky and these other major world figures by the New York Times. So anyway, that's why I'm fascinated by this story. I'm very interested to see what the resolution is. And again, I think it will be telling for the very soul of the United States how this plays out. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Much love, everybody.